Hi guys, I'm Neil.
And I'm Kirsten.
And together
we're roaming Oz Adventures. Well, when we're out four-wheel drive touring or camping, we don't always have the luxury of being able to pull up to a coffee van or a takeaway and get ourselves a good coffee.
And trust me, we've had some pretty rugged coffees from cafes over the years. So in this video, we're going to show you 9 ways that you can make better coffee right up to a full-on cappuccino with steamed milk while you're out camping or four-wheel drive touring. It's a bit of a long video, but stick with us and we'll show you a bunch of new ways you can do that. Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's. Well, like we said in our introduction, just because you're out camping and touring doesn't mean you have to have bad coffee.
And by bad coffee, you know we're talking about instant coffee. It's quick, it's convenient, it gives you a bit of a pickup in the morning, but seriously, it's crap. Just say no.
In this video, we'd like to up your coffee game and show you 9 of the ways that we've been making coffee while we've been out touring.
The simplest way for a quick hit in the morning is the coffee bag. Very similar to a tea bag, but it has good ground coffee in it. Let's show you how to make one of those now. It's very simple. Coffee cup, open the bag, get that little bag out, put it in your cup, pour the water over it, and then let that brew or sit for 3 to 5 minutes. We'll come back and we'll try that when it's ready.
It's been about 4 minutes now. We've just taken the coffee bag out. I like my coffee with a bit of milk, so I'm just going to add some now. Give it a stir.
Give it a stir. And you can try it first.
Not bad.
Not bad?
Not bad.
I think I'll try that one myself. You wait till you see me after 9 coffees. It'll do.
The second method we're going to show you today is what we're calling Swagman coffee. It's very similar to the American style Cowboy coffee. For this one, you're going to need a billy or a small pot.
This is a fairly rugged sort of coffee. It's probably not for everybody. It is, as I said, quite a rugged coffee. This one does need ground beans, so I've got my scale here and I have got our favourite beans that we prefer. Now, I'm going to be brewing 200 mils of coffee. And yes, this is a recipe, so you're going to have to follow along. I'm going to be doing about 13 grams of beans, so I'm going to be grinding my own beans here. So I'm going to measure out 13 grams of beans, and yes, if you go over, it really doesn't matter. So keep your beans fresh. I have got my grinder here, make a bit of room.
You can always bring your own pre-ground coffee from home, just pop it in your Ziploc bag, and you don't have to bring all of this stuff with you as well. We prefer to do it fresh.
Here we go, we'll grind our coffee down. Doesn't take long to do such a small amount. That's now ground. Give that a tap so it settles into the bottom. Open that up. Pour your grind into your pot and just spread that around. We'll put that aside now. Now we're going to measure out 200 mils, and there's a scale inside here that I can see. So I'm going to measure out 200 mils of water, and then from there we're going to put that onto our stove, and we're going to get that to a rolling boil, and we're going to let that go for about 4 minutes. So we'll come back and get that going now. So time's up, we'll take it off the heat. Now there's one trick with this one, because you have put grounds straight into a pot and they've been stirred up by all that boiling. And what we have found is that by pouring a very small amount of cold water over it, it actually makes all those grinds sink to the bottom, makes it easier to pour, so you then don't end up with
quite as many grounds in your coffee. Because remember, this one's not going to be filtered through anything. You do want to get rid of all those coffee grounds and have them sink to the bottom.
So we've just stirred that around. We'll grab our coffee cup, and in our experience it nearly always comes out a fairly gritty coffee, but if you're careful you should be able to get a fairly good cup out.
Doing pretty well there.
So same thing, if you like yours with milk, by all means add some milk. Let's do that now and then we'll give that a try. Give that a stir. Doesn't actually look too bad, and since I made it I guess I'm trying it. Let's see what that's like. It's strong, but it's not horrible. And again, that's a fairly easy one to make if you don't have a lot of devices.
That's pretty good.
Let's try for our next one.
Our next method of brewing coffee is going to be our pour over method. For this one, you're going to need your coffee cup, your pour over device. We like this one, folds down nice and flat, so great for overnight hikes and pops up very easily, fits nicely over our cup. You're also going to need a piece of filter paper for this one. That is just going to fit inside here.
So this one again has a recipe that we follow. So based on how much you're going to brew, so we're again brewing around 200 mils of water. I have already ground out 14 grams of beans, and this is at a medium grind. Give that a tap. It is a very simple recipe. Same thing, open it up, pour that straight into there like that, put that aside. Now with this one, a great recipe is to not boil your water the whole way. You want your water just under boiling. Now the next part that we're going to do is we're going to bloom the coffee grounds, which means pouring a very small amount of water and just basically wetting all those coffee grounds. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set a timer for about 1.5 minutes, and we're going to let that coffee sit there for about 1.5 minutes. We'll come back when that's ready. So our time is almost up. We've only got a few seconds left to go, so I'm going to start now pouring the rest of that water around and over those coffee beans or the grind, and you can see that now filtering through the coffee and the paper. I'll set that aside. Now we just simply wait for that to filter through, and as you can see, it is now coming through and looking quite good. Okay, I might just take that off. There's a few drips going to come out, and you can put some milk in that if you like, and you can give that a try. Give that a try.
Let's give this a go.
See what you think.
It's a pretty good coffee.
Let's give that a go. It's very smooth because no grinds, and the way we've made it with that recipe, it's quite nice. I think you'll enjoy that one. Let's move on to the next one.
Next up, we're going to be showing you the Moka Pot. Some of you may have seen these before, you may even own one. These do come apart, they come into 3 sections. So the bottom section has your water receptacle where you put your cold water, it has the coffee basket, and then the top section is where your coffee brew is going to be once you've finished brewing your coffee.
So with the Moka Pot, it does actually create a very intense coffee. Very, very strong. This particular pot can brew 3, 6 or 9 shots of coffee, so even that should tell you how intense this coffee is. On the side here you're going to see this small nipple. That's the pressure relief valve if you let it go too long or something goes wrong. But why I'm showing you that is inside there you can actually see where that is on the inside. So we're actually going to fill that to just below that mark with water. And to make things quicker, I've got some water here that I have already basically pre-boiled, so that makes the whole process a bit quicker. Now, by filling this one to that level, that's going to create a nice brew. Next thing is I have just finished grinding 30 grams, yes, 30 grams of fine coffee, just like for an espresso. Now, this one is a lot finer than what we have already ground for some of the other coffees that we have created. And as you can see, I'm making a mess. Now, just smooth that down. You can use a spoon. I've got a spoon here, so we can tamp that down with a spoon, or like I have, I bought a tamp. So I'm just going to tamp that down. You do need to nicely tamp that down, not make too much of a mess like I have. Didn't see that. Just clean that so it gets a good seal, because we want that to, when this goes together, not to create an issue. So screw it back together. We are then going to put that onto our heat source, and we're going to get that and control our heat so that the coffee is just starting to come out through the spout at the top there. So we'll come back when that's starting to happen. So we've now got the Moka Pot on our heat source. Now, one of the secrets with the Moka Pot is don't heat it up too quick. You want that coffee coming out of this spout at the top at a nice even rate, not spluttering with steam and that sort of thing. So at the moment I've got the lid up so I can see when that coffee starts to come up, and I'm going to control that heat once that process starts. So we'll come back and we'll show you that coffee coming out of the spout as soon as it starts.
So as you can see, the coffee's flowing. It's got that nice, even, smooth flow over as it's brewing, and it looks like it's got a good crema on it too.
So that's now brewed, so we're going to take that off our heat source, which we've now turned off. That is a very, very dark, rich looking and intense looking brew there. So we're just going to pour a shot for that. Now, because this is very intense, you can also reduce the intensity by using some hot water, which we still have here, just to dilute that a bit like an Americana. And then again, we like milk, so we're going to put some milk in, which will make it a little cool. I'll give that a quick stir before we give that a try. Now, one thing I didn't do when I was prepping this one is I didn't actually put a filter paper in. You can actually put a filter paper in and it'll actually filter out any of the really fine stuff that comes up. That's intense, but it actually tastes pretty good.
Let's give it a go. It is a lot stronger, but it is a nice flavoured coffee.
It's a nice one.
It's got a good flavour to it.
It is easy to do. Let's show you the next one.
Well, the next way that we've got for you to brew coffee when you're out and about is with the French press.
Now, I think a lot of people probably have a French press at their home, but they don't really know how to use it properly, or they have made coffee with it and it has not produced a great coffee. So today we'll give you hopefully what you will consider is a great way to make coffee. One thing with this French press, you may be able to see the press itself actually does not reach the bottom where the coffee grinds are. This is actually quite important because you don't want to disturb those coffee grounds, and when you're pushing or pressing, you don't want those coming up through that fine filter. If yours goes right to the bottom at the end when we're doing the press, don't push it all the way to the bottom, keep it off the bottom. So with this one, I have already ground 16 grams of coffee, always using fresh beans.
I think this was a medium grind.
At a medium grind.
Yeah.
So we simply start off by putting our coffee into the pot, like that. Excuse me. We're using 250 mils of water that we just boiled. So we're going to pour that over. So the 16 grams is for the 250 mils of water. If you were going to brew 2 cups, so 500 mils of water, you would double the amount of coffee that you've put in there. I'm just going to give that a quick stir. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set a timer for 4 minutes. And we're going to let that just sit there for 4 minutes. So our 4 minutes are now up, or about to finish. So what we're going to do is we're going to give that another stir. We're trying to get those grinds to actually drop to the bottom. Now what we're going to do is I'm just going to see if I can scoop up any that are on the top and get those out, because we don't want those coming up. And there are a few, as you can see. Now we have more waiting to do. The final section is for 3 minutes, so I'm actually going to put the lid on and I'm going to get that plunger ready to go. But now we're going to wait another 3 minutes, then we can plunge our coffee and it's ready to go. We'll see you in 3 minutes. So our extra 3 minutes are now up. So what we're going to do is we're just going to press down on the plunger, and that's going to force any of the floaties to the bottom. That's now ready to go. We're now going to pour that into our cup. Now obviously over the 7 minutes the temperature in the cup does tend to go down a bit, so if you like it black, that's easy. If you like a bit of milk, probably don't put too much in. Give that a quick stir, because we like to stir things. And let's give that a try. That is very smooth.
Does make a very good coffee.
It does. Let's move on to the next one.
Next up, we have the Aeropress. We have the Aeropress Go model. We really like this one. It's great for camping. It's a very compact little model. Let's unpack it and see what it has. So we have our filters. We have our cup. Couple of tools, so our scoop and our stirrer. And we have the plunger itself. Unscrew the base for our filter papers. And the plunger.
So with this one, again, we have a recipe that we're following. I didn't develop this recipe. I didn't develop any of the recipes I followed today, but James Hoffman developed this one. If you know who James Hoffman is, he's quite well known in the coffee world. So we're putting our filter in the bottom, and then we're going to put it back together. Then we're simply putting that on top of your cup. Now again, this recipe, 11 grams of coffee, which I've already just ground, and it's at a medium fine grade.
Now if you were bringing pre-ground coffee, this is where you'd need to use your scoop. Because we've measured ours out, we don't need to use the scoop for this one.
So we'll just tap that down nice and flat. Now this recipe, with 11 grams of coffee, we're using 200 mils of water. We're going to pour that in now. And then straight away we're going to put our plunger in. We're going to give it a stir first, because that's what this is for. Quick stir. Now that will already be starting to go through into the cup below. Now we put that in and then back it up. Now that has basically stopped it from flowing through into the cup. We're now going to set a timer for 2 minutes. And we're going to let that sit there and brew for that 2 minutes, and then we're going to finish the plunge and enjoy that coffee. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Well, our 2 minutes just expired, so we're now going to hold this in place, and we're going to do about a 30-second plunge. So we're just going to slowly push that down over a period of about 30 seconds, nice and slow. So that is done. We can now move that to the side. Our coffee is in the cup. I'm going to transfer that into another cup because it looks nicer.
It's all about presentation.
And have a look at the colour of that coffee. That is really nice looking coffee. Again, if you like milk, a little bit of milk. Give that a stir, because we stir things. And you can try that one first.
Ooh, lucky me. This is still one of my favourite ways of making coffee.
Yeah, it's one of my favourites too, because it is so simple.
Yeah, and it does make a good cup.
That is a really nice cup. One of the great things about this machine, and you've taken it away, to clean it up, basically you take the bottom off here, and we've got a bag here. I won't do it, but you basically take this off, push the plunger all the way through, and it's cleaned up, and you just give it a rinse. So it's a really easy and quick clean up as well. We're going to go back to enjoying this coffee, and then we'll show you the next method in just a tick.
Next up, we have the Wacaco Minipresso. We have the GR2 model. We like coffee grounds. You can get an NS2 model as well, which takes coffee pods. So as you can see, nice compact little machine here. We have lid. Inside is our scoop and tamp. We also have our drip tray. Underneath is our cup. Keep going, keep going, keep going. We have our coffee receptacle. Neil will explain a little bit more about the knickknacks in there as well. And we have our plunge.
So this one is very good. It's very compact. There is a previous model, the GR model and the NS model, that were brought out about 10 years ago. It's taken them 10 years to redevelop these ones to the version 2. So with this one of the things I like about this is this basket takes 8 grams of ground coffee in a medium fine to fine consistency. If you want a stronger coffee, you can simply take the basket out, or the filter, and this bottom section here, which is a spacer, can come out. That can go back in. Now it takes 12 grams of beans, or ground coffee. So we're going to be doing 8 grams of ground coffee today, so I'm going to put our spacer back in like that, put it back together, so that's ready to go. So I have already ground 8 grams, or just under. As I said, at a medium fine to fine consistency. So, and I'm going to make a big mess of this, so I'm going to upend it and tap that in. There we go. Again, like I said, making a mess.
It's all
guaranteed. Now, it's very important with this one because this produces an espresso shot, not what you would call a coffee. Like a full cup of coffee. So we're going to tamp that down. Now, because it is a pressurized vessel, you need to make sure that when you screw this back together, you have got no coffee caught up in there and it gets a good seal, because as soon as you start to pressurize it, when you start putting water through it, it's just going to leak out the sides and it's not going to work properly. So screw that all the way up nice and tight. So that's up there. Clean our mess up, that I'm always making a mess. And we don't need those pieces now. So in the top is where the water goes. You have to have boiled water. Fill this nearly all the way to the top. Don't overfill it, but nearly all the way to the top. And we're going to screw our lid back on. Again, same thing, needs to be on nice and tight. Now, our little cup. We're going to start giving this some pumps, and if I've sealed it properly, don't do it too fast. We're going to keep doing that a few times until we get a couple of drips come through the coffee, just like that, and we're going to let that sit on our drip tray just for a little bit while that coffee blooms in the chamber. We don't have to give it a lot of time, we just want to give that a little bit of time, about 20 seconds, and then we're going to continue pumping that espresso shot through the machine. So that's probably enough. Again, you don't need to do this rapidly, it just takes some good, and as you can see, it's coming out with an amazing crema, which you can't see, but I can see it, and it is really a good looking coffee here. And we're pretty much done. So we'll put that on our little one there. We've got some milk here. We might just put a little bit of milk so it's not quite as strong. You can try that shot.
It looks very good. That is a good cuppa.
That's a very good one. As I said, this one doesn't make a full cup of coffee, it's really a shot. So if that's what you like, that should be really good for you. Now let's show you the next one.
So our next one is the Conqueco pod machine.
One of our favourites.
It really is. This one does weigh a little bit, which is why we use it mostly when we're in the car. It's rechargeable, which is absolutely fantastic. Has its own cup, water reservoir. The beauty of this one, not only does it take Nespresso size pods, it will heat water for you. So if you don't have pre-boiled water on hand, this one will heat it up for you.
So in the top of this one is your water reservoir. It doesn't take a lot of water, so you are still only getting a small coffee out of this one. And as Kirsten said, this one will actually boil water. Now on a full charge, it will boil 6 cups of coffee. And by cups we're meaning still a fairly small coffee. If you put boiling water in the top, you can get 100 shots of coffees out of this machine without a recharge sort of thing. So with this one, we're going to pull this to pieces and we're going to do a vanilla.
Ooh, my favourite.
Flavoured coffee today. So into the bottom, pierce that, put it back together. Now we are going to do this today with boiling water or close to it. It will still heat that up to the temperature that it wants. Now if you notice the cup, it's got these ridges on it, and if you notice that, by turning a quarter turn or a small turn, it actually then puts it above the level of the coffee, so that when you're brewing, it is quite convenient in that way. So we're going to put water up to the max line. Hopefully we haven't
Turn this around so they can see the
exceeded that. So on the front here, if you push any of the buttons, it shows you here how much battery you've got left. If you're putting boiling water in, and my water's now getting a little cool, you would push this button and it would just push the coffee straight through. This one here, hold it in and it makes a sound, and it will actually then heat the water in the reservoir there and then push the coffee through. So we're going to let that heat up and we'll come back when that has actually started pumping the water through. Once you hear the pump start, it's actually starting to push the coffee through the pod. Now remember, it is only a pod, so it's about 8 grams of coffee, so it is producing a shot. If you want to, you can put some additional hot water in there to make it into a bigger drink, and also a little bit of milk also, it doesn't make it too bad. The great thing about pods obviously is they're convenient, and there is a big range of flavours that you can actually get. So this will turn off as soon as it's actually finished pushing all the water through that pod, and then we'll be able to enjoy this last coffee from this machine.
There it goes.
And that shuts off. So that's that one done. So what we're going to do is just put a little bit of milk in there, just to milk that up a bit. And you can try that one.
You know that's my favourite. Always a good coffee, that one. For a pod coffee.
Exactly, for a pod coffee. So one more machine to go. We'll show you that one next. So I think we've kept the best one for last.
I think we have. This is one of our favourites. It does take a little bit of extra time to use this one, however. This is the Belman Stovetop espresso maker. It does have its own steaming wand, so you can steam your milk. As I said, it does take a bit longer to make a whole cup of coffee with this one. It is a great little machine, and over to you, Neil, to tell us how to use it.
So this is, as you can see, quite a bit of kit. This one takes a fair amount of learning, and no guarantees I'll actually produce something drinkable today, but this is very, very similar to any espresso or cappuccino machine you'll find in a cafe or your home. So this one has got a coffee basket. your water reservoir where we're going to put boiling water, because that'll make it a lot quicker to actually produce a cup of coffee. And as Kirsten said, you also have a steaming one which has got 2 holes on the front, which produces more than enough steam to create a really nice silky milk for cappuccinos, which we will also do. So what we're going to do is, just like a traditional cappuccino shot, I have already ground my 16 grams of coffee in a fine grind. So we're now going to put that into our basket, and we're going to make ourselves a nice cappuccino. In fact, that is a very small grind of coffee. So our coffee's in.
And you will notice that Neil's put his thumb over the centerpiece there. That's because you don't want any of your coffee grounds falling into it.
So we're going to use this screen as a tamp, like that. And we're going to put our boiling water, which I've already pre-boiled, on the inside of the machine near the handle. You probably won't be able to see, but up here there is a 3, a 6 and a 9. That depends on how many shots that you're going to be pulling with the machine. So we're going to fill that to the 3 mark. There we go. Put our coffee basket in. Now this is very much a pressurized vessel like the Wacaco. You need to make sure that this lid is screwed on very tight. And next part is, we're going to put that onto our heat source, make a bit of room. Get that started. Now, as you can see here, there is actually a pressure gauge, and I won't keep that towards the camera the whole time, but we are going to be monitoring this one very closely. We're going to be wanting that at sitting between 1.5 and 2 bars before we start brewing or getting our coffee to come out. So we'll come back when that's ready to start expressing the coffee. So after waiting quite a while, because it's quite cold today, we have got our pressure gauge up to about 1.5 bar. So with this one, we are now going to open up our espresso tap 1/4 to 1 turn, and then shortly that coffee will start to flow. Now this is not a set and forget. You will have to monitor the flow coming out of the tap, because you don't want it sputtering. You want a nice, good, even flow coming out. So we're just going to wait for that to start flowing, and once the pressure is at where it wants to be, it will actually start to flow. There we go, look at that. Turn it back down a bit if it starts to sputter. So we've got enough for our shot, so I'm going to turn the valve off. What we're now going to do is quickly purge the steam wand, and of course everyone comes equipped with a frothing jug,
complete with
and
thermometer.
a thermometer. So
the trick with this one is to have your mug on an angle so that you can really get a good swirl going with that steamer, and that will give you nice aerated, silky smooth milk.
So we've got our milk up to temperature, we've got the consistency we want. I'm turning that off and I'm turning our heat off. Just putting that down for a sec, and we're going to clean that off because burnt milk is not much fun on your steam wand. So that's looking good. We might take that off there and move that out of the road.
Yep, I got that.
Put that to the side.
Good tap and a swirl makes for better milk.
And before we put that in, I did put sugar in, so I'm going to give that a little quick stir.
Yes, we felt like a sweet cappuccino. just to warm us up a little bit extra.
That really tastes good. And I've probably got it too frothy, but you can try that one before I spill
I
it.
get to go first. And that is a really great cup of coffee. Not sure I'm going to share it.
Oh, come on. I made it. I get to try it as well.
Oh, okay.
Let's try that one.
That is a really good coffee. It is worth the wait.
Yep, foam on the nose.
Must
That
be good.
tastes just like you get from a cafe. So with a bit of practice, you can learn that one. This is a really nice cup. Not the cheapest of machines either. The Belman sells for around $280, so you want to be serious about your coffee if you're going to invest that sort of money. We hope you've got something out of this video. If you've liked the video, obviously like it, and if you consider subscribing to us, that would be great. Drop us a comment. By all means, the recipes we've shown for the types or methods of producing this coffee are not the only ways. Aeropress, there are world championships and they have so many recipes, it's not funny, it's just that's the one we prefer. So by all means experiment, but hopefully you've learnt something from this video and you don't have to put up with that instant coffee ever again.
There's much better coffee out there.
We'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.